like to show you a few options that can help with classroom management in Zoom. To start with, we have a student, so I'm going to show you a few ways to manage how the student can communicate through Zoom. The first thing I want to do is open up the Manage Participants window down here. This brings up, so you see we've got Skippy and then me. I want to go down to More because we know that we can adjust individual students and mute them and unmute them, but I want to go down to More. Notice here you have a couple important things. First is mute participants on entry. This means as soon as they jump in, you won't get that weird sound when somebody joins and their mic cuts in. This will just mute them automatically the moment they come in. I would definitely check that. The second thing I would look at under More is the ability to allow participants to unmute themselves. If your class is really out of control and everybody's turning their mic on when you don't want them to, you can check this box, uncheck this box, and they will not be able to unmute themselves once you mute them. Also, this allow participants to rename themselves. They will name themselves once when they come into class, but it might be good to get them in a habit of making sure they put their first and last name in when they come in, and then uncheck this box so that they cannot rename themselves during class to make a joke or to act up. Finally, you can lock the meeting. That stops anyone else from joining after a certain point. I would caution you there, though. It's perfectly normal for somebody to get kicked out of Zoom every now and then just because they have an internet hiccup or their computer goofs. And if that's the case, they wouldn't be able to get back in. So I would not recommend usually keeping this locked. I want to show you a couple other features now. I'm going to move over to chat. And one of the problems that a lot of teachers report in Zoom is students chatting back and forth to each other and having a lot of cross chatter. So there are some options for that as well. Down here on the bottom right with the three dots, you can decide who gets to chat. By default, it's everyone publicly and privately, but you can change that to host only. So that means they will be able to chat to you, but not to each other. And that's probably a good place to start off. If you need them to be able to chat back and forth for a particular activity, you can always go right here and change it back to everyone publicly or everyone publicly and privately. But I would go ahead and start off with it on host only. And I'd like to show you one more tip. The ability to share your screen and to have students share their screen is very useful, but you want to be able to control that. So we're going to click right here beside share. We're going to click the little pop-up arrow. And you'll notice immediately one of the things you can do is make it so that only one participant can share at a time. That's the default. If you ever need to have more than one student share, you can do that by checking here. Let's go into the advanced sharing options. Here you'll notice that you can control who can share. So if your students are sharing when you don't want them to and you're having trouble stopping that, just come in here and say only the host can share. And then you will be the only person that can share a screen. Another option is to make sure that this is checked only hosts. So in other words, we don't want someone to be able to take over and start sharing their screen instead of the person you want to be sharing their screen. So you want to make sure that only you can start screen sharing when someone else is already sharing. And that's pretty much it. I hope these tips have helped you and will help you maintain your classroom management while using Zoom.